Hello friends, myself Dr. M.D. Gupta, Department Mathematics, Government College Ajmer. Today we are going to prove some more theorems about subgroups. Earlier, in my earlier lecture, I proved that if for A belongs to H, B belongs to H, implies AB inverse belongs to H, then H is a subgroup, or if H is a subgroup of a group G, then this will hold good. There it is given us that the subgroup is finite or infinite, it doesn't matter. If today we are going to prove for finite group, if group is finite group, if the given group is finite, then simply finite group is G is a finite group and H is a subgroup of it, and H is a subgroup of it, then for A belongs to H, B belongs to H, implies AB belongs to H, means we need to prove, we are given H is a finite group, H is a subgroup, then we need to prove that AB is equal to AB, it implies that AB belongs to H. And if we are given G is a finite group and H is any subset of it, and if this subset G is a finite group and H is any subset, G is a finite group and H is a subset of it, G is finite one, and if A belongs to H, B belongs to H, implies AB belongs to H, then H will be subgroup. So this is the necessary and sufficient condition for H to be a subgroup, is that A belongs to H and B belongs to H, implies AB belongs to H. Now, what is the necessary condition? Necessary condition is that if G is a finite group, H is a subgroup, it is given. Then we need to prove A belongs to H, B belongs to H, implies AB belongs to H. It is obvious because H is a subgroup and an element A belongs to it, H is a subgroup and element B belongs to it, then by the property of group AB, closure property of the group, AB belongs to H. So it is isofactor, necessary condition is isofactor as given to us. Now, for sufficient condition, what we have to do? We are given G is finite and H is non-void subset such that A belongs to H, B belongs to H, implies AB belongs to H, it is given to us. Now, what we have to do? We need to prove that closure, associative, identity, inverse also belongs to this set H and holds for the set H, and thus H will be subgroup. So, first of all, with this line, we can say H is a subset of G and A belongs to H, B belongs to H, implies AB belongs to H, means closure property itself is given. Closure property is itself given to us. Now, say again, A, B, C, such elements belongs to H, means A, B, C belongs to G also, since H is a subset of this finite group. Therefore, A, B, C, any three element belongs to H also belongs to G. And in G, we know that associative property holds good. A, B, C is equal to A, B, C for all A, B, C belongs to H also belongs to G, and in G associative property holds, therefore associative property holds good for this one also. So associative property holds good, thus we can say associative property H possesses the associative property. Now A belongs to H, and with the help of A belongs to H, with the help of this line we can say A into A, that is A square belongs to H. A belongs to H, and with this line, this condition, we can say A square belongs to H. Again, A square belongs to H, A belongs to H, and implies A square into A is equal to A cube. This is equal to A cube also belongs to H. And in this way, we can say A raised to the power m minus 1 belongs to H, A raised to the power n belongs to H, and so on. Means these are the infinite number of members. A square, A belongs to H, A square belongs to H, A cube belongs to H, and up to infinity they must belongs to H. But it is not possible because G is a finite group, and in a finite group there is no possibility having any infinite subset of it. G is a finite group and H is a subset of it. A subset of any finite set cannot be infinite. Therefore, H, there must be a repetition in these. A, A1, A2, A square, A cube, and so on. These are the number of elements. Say AR, AS, AR, and so on. Infinite number of elements belongs to this set H, means there must be a repetition. There must be a repetition in these elements. Let us say these two elements are equal. AS is equal to AR. AS is equal to AR. Definitely we can say from here 0 is less than S is less than R. So AS is equal to AR. Now since AS belongs to H, it means AS belongs to H belongs to G also, because H is a subset of G. So AS belongs to this group. Definitely A minus S also belongs to G. H is a subset of G. Inverse, it also belongs to the G, and AS, we operate it by AS is equal to A raised to power R, A raised to power minus S, This gives us the identity is equal to a raised to power r minus s. Let us say r minus s is a positive number, positive integer. Therefore, for this positive integer, identity is here. So, identity exists in this edge. Thus, we can say identity element exists. ID belongs to H. ID means E belongs to H. This means identity element exists in H. Again, let us say R minus S is equal to K. K is positive. So, a raised to the power k minus 1 belongs to H, and a raised to the power k and a raised to the power minus 1 belongs to H. A raised to the power k is nothing but identity, so A inverse belongs to H. Thus we can say inverse also exists for this set H. Therefore, H possesses the property of closure property, associative property, identity exists in H, and inverse exists in H. Therefore, H is a subgroup. Thus, we can say for a finite, this was for the any subset. For any subset to be any subset H to be a subgroup, this condition is for any subset, and this condition is for a finite subgroup. We can combine these two theorems and can say like this. Can say that H is any subset of a group G. Whether it is finite or infinite, group may be finite or infinite, any type of group. H is any subset. H is a subset of it. This subset H is a subgroup if this condition holds good. A belongs to H, B belongs to H, implies AB belongs to H, or second, A belongs to H implies A inverse belongs to H. Combining these two results, we can prove H is any subset of a group is a subgroup if it holds these two conditions. Means for finite and for any, inverse property must also exist. It means we need to prove that for any finite or infinite, we need to prove this condition and this condition for a subset as to be a subgroup. So we find basic condition to prove any subset to be a subgroup of a group G. We generally use this result, but in some cases or in case of finite set, finite group, we also prove this result with the help of this result. Now, furthermore, if G is a group, if G is a group and H1 and H2 are two subgroups, means H1 is a subgroup for the induced operation and H2 is also a subgroup for induced operation. Means H1 and H2 are subgroups, then H1 intersection H2 is also a subgroup of G. Means we are given H is a group, H1 is a subgroup, H2 is another subgroup of. In my earlier lecture, we have seen that a group may have many number of subgroups, as we saw in example for Z plus. We saw that there must exist infinite many subgroups, but one basic property remains always there, that identity belongs to, say this is a group and we have many subgroups. This is subgroup, this is subgroup, this is subgroup, this is subgroup. But one thing is definitely true, is that identity element belongs to every subgroup. It is the property, it needs to be held, because identity element is unique in G, and this identity is also identity of any subgroup. Therefore, at least identity element exists in every subgroup. So we can say H1 and H2 are any two subgroups, then H1 intersection H2 is not equal to phi. Why? As I said here, that at least identity element exists in every subgroup, therefore at least identity is common to every subgroup, therefore H1 intersection H2 is not equal to phi. Means they contain, they possess some element, at least some elements. So let A belongs to H1 intersection H2, means this implies A belongs to H1 and A belongs to H2. H1 intersection A belongs to H1 intersection H2. Therefore, A also belongs to H1 and H2 as well. Then B belongs to again B belongs to H1 intersection H2, since H1 and H2 is not empty set. So let's again suppose B belongs to H1 intersection H2. This implies B belongs to H1 and B belongs to H2. Thus, using these two conditions, A belongs to H1, B belongs to H1 implies and H1 is a subgroup, therefore AB inverse belongs to H1. In the same way, here A belongs to H2, B belongs to H2 implies AB inverse belongs to H2, since H2 is a subgroup. And from these two results, we can say that AB inverse belongs to H1 intersection H2, because AB inverse belongs to H1 and AB inverse belongs to H2. Thus, we can say AB inverse belongs to H1 intersection H2. Thus, from our supposition A belongs to H1 intersection H2 and B belongs to H1 intersection H2 implies AB inverse belongs to H1 intersection H2, and from our initial theorem A belongs to the set, B belongs to the set. If AB inverse belongs to the set, then H1 intersection H2 will be a subgroup. Hence, we can say intersection of two subgroup is again a subgroup, and we can also generalize this theorem if we have H1, H2 and Hn are n subgroups of a group G, then naturally H1 intersection, H2 intersection, H3 intersection and so on, Hn is a subgroup of the group G. Thus, we find another theorem that intersection of number of subgroups will again be a subgroup. Now, what about union of two subgroups? Union of two or more subgroups. What about? In order to understand this theorem, let me to take one example first time. Say Z is a group, Z plus is a group, and it has two subgroups. Say H1 is equal to Z, 4Z and plus 4Z and plus, and H2 be 5Z plus. Means, what is this? This is minus 8 minus 4 0 4 8 and so on, and operation is additive, but your additive operation, and 5 minus 10 minus 5 0 5 10 and so on, and operation is also additive. Now, H1 union H2, what it will be? It possesses the element, say 4 plus 5, 9. 9 belongs to H1 union H2. 9 belongs to H1 union H2. But nine belongs to H1 union H2, but the union of these two, neither the 9 is neither the member of this one and this one. 9 exists in union, but 9 is neither the member of this one and this one. So union of two subgroup may not be a subgroup. Union of two subgroup may not be a subgroup. But now this we will prove mathematically also. How? Say G is a group and H1 and H2 be two subgroups. Union of these two subgroups is H1 union H2. Now, G is a group, and if H1 union H2 is subgroup, then naturally either H1 must contain in H2 or H2 must contain in H1. This must hold. If union of two subgroup is again a subgroup, union of two subgroup is again a subgroup, then this condition must hold. Or if this condition holds, then union of two subgroup is again a subgroup. So This is a subgroup, a group. Say this is H1, this is H2, H1, H2, G is a group. G is a group, H1 and H2 are two subgroups. Now, if H1 is a subset of H2, means this is the condition for this one. H2, H1 means H1 is a subset of H2. H1 and H2 are subgroups and one is contained in other. This is the condition. When H1 is contained in H2, then H1 union H2 will be equal to H2 and it is subgroup, therefore it will be a subgroup. And if this condition holds, H2 is contained in H1, then naturally union of these two will be H1 and H1 is a subgroup, therefore union of two subgroup is a subgroup. Thus we can say if one subgroup is contained in other, either or, then naturally union of two subgroup will be a subgroup. Now the sufficient part of it is that we are given H1 and H2. We are given H1 and H2 are two subgroup and union of H1 H2 is also subgroup. Then we need to prove H1 is contained in H2 or H2 is contained in H1. This is our target. Means we are given a group, H1 and H2 are two subgroups. H1 union H2 is also a subgroup. Means this is the way. H1, H2, G. H1 union H2 means this is the union of H1 and H2. This is the union of H1 and H2. Also subgroup. This union is a subgroup. Then there must be H1 is contained in H2. This is only possible when union of two subgroup is again a subgroup. It is only possible when H1, either H1 is contained in H2 or H2 is contained in H1. On the contrary, in order to prove, let us suppose H1 does not be contained in H2 or H2 is not contained in H1. Means they are some way different. So let us suppose A is here in H1. Let A belongs to H1. A belongs to H1 and this implies A does not belongs to H2. A belongs to H1 and A does not belongs to H2. But A belongs to H1 union H2. A belongs to H1 union H2. Similarly, let us suppose B does not belongs to H1. B is here. B does not belongs to H1. Or we can say B belongs to H2. It implies B does not belongs to H1. But B belongs to H1 union H2 because A is a member of this H1, A is a member of union and B is a member of this H2 and is a member, H2 is also a member of union of H1 and H2. So A and B both belongs to H1 union H2. Now we are given that H1 union H2 is also a subgroup, means A B belongs to H1 union H2. AB belongs to H1 union H2. This is the result. AB belongs to this, we can say is a one. Now AB belongs to H1 union H2 means either A belongs to AB belongs to H1 or AB belongs to H2. AB is in union of H1 and H2, therefore AB may be in H1 or AB in H2. Means AB may be here or AB may be here. One of them. AB. So let us suppose AB belongs to H1. AB belongs to H1 and H1 is a subgroup. AB belongs to H1. A belongs to H1. A belongs to H1 and H1 is a subgroup, therefore A inverse also belongs to H1. AB belongs to H1. Suppose these are the two possibilities. Let us take one by one. So suppose AB belongs to H1 and A belongs to H1 and H1 is a subgroup, therefore A inverse belongs to H1. As A inverse belongs to H1 means A inverse AB belongs to H1. H1 is a subgroup. And any two element, this is one element, this is another element, any two element belongs to H1 and H1 is a subgroup, therefore with the help of closure property we can say A inverse AB belongs to H1. This implies using associative property we can say B belongs to H1. A inverse A is nothing but identity. So this I can write EB belongs to H1. This implies B belongs to H1. But this is contrary. Contrary to our supposition. Here we suppose that B belongs to H1, H2. But B does not belongs to H1. This is the contradiction of this one. So this possibility doesn't hold. Again, this is not this condition is not holding. Therefore, let us suppose that AB belongs to H2. AB belongs to H2, H2 is a subgroup, and B belongs to H2. We know B belongs to H2. This implies B inverse, H2 is a subgroup, B inverse belongs to H2, and using the closure property in B2, this implies AB and B inverse belongs to H2, and I am not calculating all these, we can say straightforward A belongs to H2. But this is again a contradiction. Again a contradiction. What is here a contradiction? A belongs to H2 and A does not belong to H2. Here we find that A belongs to H2. Means this is the contradiction of this one. So these two results and these two suppositions shows that H1 is this our supposition. H1 does not contain in H2 or H2 in similar, this supposition was wrong, means H1 is contained in H2, or in the similar fashion we can prove that H2 does not contain in H1. So with the help of an example, with the help of these mathematical derivations, we can say union of two subgroups may not be. Union of two subgroups may not be a subgroup. It is subgroup only when union of two subgroup is a subgroup only when one is contained in other. This is the theorem. Thank you for all. Next time we will do some more.